what we want to do now is release the muscles, external muscles we'll start with that we've covered. So the first one would be, we'll start with the basic one. So sternocleidomastoid. Now, a lot of the time it's too painful to release it from its origin insertion. So sometimes what works really nicely is just to do a little myofascial release of the muscle. So you pick up the muscle and then just gently make it, is that okay? It's not hurting you too much. So you're just gently just doing a little bit of a soft tissue release there. And you'll find that's a lot more comfortable than somebody than actually working all the way through it. Now, if you've got a big, strong footballer or a very athletic person, then you can get that muscle and it's usually overdeveloped in a lot of these very fit clients, and you can really pick that up and release it off the scalenes. You want to also release the suprahyoid and infrahyoid muscles. Now, we covered some of the muscles around here, so you want to come mylohyoids, geniohyoids coming underneath here, all right, all the way underneath here, and you'll find a lot of little trigger points. There's a sore one, Mika, isn't it? Okay, so we're coming through, we're starting to hit digastric there, and coming under, and then also round the back here. So that would be your suprahyoids, obviously, but working more just under the mandible here, and you'll find lots of little trigger points through there. And that could take you a minute or two, easily to just free up some of those. Okay. I'm not doing those here because they're actually not that tight. Then we want to do masseter. Now, you learnt where masseter was. Masseter, zygomatic arch, all the way across here and onto the inferior angle of the mandible here. All right. And this one you can easily go on. Most people, it's really, really strong. And you find the trigger points tend to be underneath the arch here. So you find often the client, they'll come back to me and I've given them their exercises, and you'll find, or I've given them the releases to do each day on their masseter, and you'll find that they've done the top and the bottom, the middle part, but not the top and the bottom. So you go right under here, masseter. All right. Sorry if I'm hurting you, Mika. Some of these are quite painful. So please practice on a colleague first before you practice on a client. You work through there. Again, I'm not doing the full release there. Great way of releasing traps. So we can get into traps here really nicely. Again, a myofascial release, because what happens is when the person lies prone, then their neck sort of goes into hyperextension and you can't get at traps. This is a great way of getting into traps. All right. Infrahyoid, just go carefully. I assess the hyoid bone, check it moves the same both ways. Someone who's hypermobile, that can move a really lot, but again, be careful. All right. Scalenes, do a little bit of release, but again, can be very hypersensitive, so be careful. All right. Now the nice one, subaccip. So what I tend to do is, again, watch how my elbows are supported here. So I'm going down as far as T1 and getting an idea of what's going on with mobility through the upper thoracic spine, then coming into cervical spine, and then here's my subaccip. I'm moving right up the spinous processes, and you saw those little muscles, rectus, capitis, posterior, minor, and major, and the inferior, superior obliquus. You know those off by heart by now. And I want you to go between the occiput and C1, start with that. But did you notice I took Mika at that point into a little bit of extension? It's not hyperextension, it's a little bit of extension. And what I'm doing is I'm trying to work all the little muscles between the occiput, so between the occiput and C1, and she's got lots, as all of us do, leaning forward all day, lots of little trigger points through there. All right. And then what I do is just stay there for a little minute and then let those muscles give in. I'm basically trying to create as much space between the occiput and C1. All right. And then the other thing when I'm here is that don't stop at the base of the occiput. You saw that your traps and your splenius capitis and other muscles come right up to not just the inferior nuchal line, but the superior nuchal line. So find all your little trigger points up a little bit higher too into the hairline. Temporalis on the outside here too. So that's your major external muscle releases. So be careful when you do them. Let your client know that they might hurt a little bit and let them be in charge, obviously, that you don't, you're not out to cause pain. The key thing, of course, you're looking for is what's the difference in tone, in tightness on your left and your right. And always after you release them, go back to where you started, looking at your alignment, opening, closing. You've noticed already I don't do a lot of lateral movement because I find if the disc is a little bit lax in mid-range and moving too much, then basically you do too much lateral movement and the jaw can get stuck on one side. So I work a lot more just in the midline at this point in time.